everyone, and thanks for jumping back into the cryptoverse. Today we're going to talk about Cardano, its native token ADA. So if you guys like the content, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel, turn your notifications on. Also, we have a Telegram channel where we're over 3,500 people now. We'll be getting a new admin for the channel at 4,000 members, so go ahead and check that Telegram channel out if you guys want to discuss these different projects. So let's go ahead and dive in. So, this move that we've been seeing with ADA, we've been covering it all along, and we said again that as long as Bitcoin holds its ground, we're likely going to continue to see ADA move up. And again, a lot of people are getting really excited, and of course, it's exciting to see these types of moves. But at the same time, it's just business as usual. We expected this based on our prior analysis, looking at Bitcoin, identifying, one of the triggers for altcoins to move, like ADA, would be Bitcoin being above the 20-week moving average, which you can see it's well above it. And ever since then, so this was the week, April 27th, that Bitcoin crossed it. And since then, we were already moving up before that, and since then we've continued to move up. And despite what Bitcoin does at this point, whether Bitcoin stays where it is or goes up, I think ADA is still going to likely to continue to move up. And again, this is not financial advice. This is just analysis on the markets, looking at a lot of different data science models to identify what causes these things to move. And with ADA specifically, it's my primary hedge against Ethereum in this market cycle, because again, as we said, the primary difference, or I shouldn't say the primary difference, but one of the differences, right, between Cardano and Ethereum is, Ethereum launched their protocol, and then now they're dealing with the transition. Whereas with Cardano, they are waiting to launch their protocol. They're getting all the everything figured out on the back end, so that once things get up and running, it's just smooth sailing. And this is obviously has its advantages and disadvantages. For instance, with Ethereum, it to some degree it has first mover advantage. There's already a lot of people, a lot of projects building on top of it. But at the same time, ADA, Cardano, could present itself as a timely alternative if say the transition to proof of stake for Ethereum continues to get delayed. So this is why Cardano is my main hedge, and I think it is worth looking into, despite every all the FUD that you'll see out there. For the most part is unfounded. There in terms of timelines and whatnot, things could have been handled a little bit differently on projected timelines, but at the same time, it's technology development takes time, and looking forward through this market cycle, projecting say a 2023 peak for Bitcoin, launching the Mainnet in 2020 for ADA is basically at the perfect time. Because if you remember, in 2015, when Ethereum launched, it essentially launched at the perfect time. Because Bitcoin was starting to come out of a bear market to go into this parabolic run-up that we saw over 2016 and 2020. Maybe we're going to see the same thing with Cardano, but this next bull run might not start. Maybe it starts in 2020, maybe it starts in 2021, and it'll take us out through 2023. And then when we look back on this market cycle in the future, we'll say, oh yeah, Cardano, they had their testnet in December, or the snapshot was in December, and then the testnet launched after that. It went really well. Then they had the mainnet launch. Yeah, it seems like an obvious investment. Hindsight's 2020. Well, we've been saying on this channel for a long time now that this coin is worth looking at, and the fact that it's even gone from, even at the bottom of the wick, less than 2 cents to over 8 cents in a couple months. It's outperformed most of the market. And while I like this chart a lot, you know what chart I like more than this one? This one. It's valuation with respect to Bitcoin. This is ultimately what you need to see. It justifies holding altcoins. What's the point of holding 45 different alts if your valuation against Bitcoin continues to just drop and drop and drop? And there are plenty of coins out there that continue to lose valuation with respect to Bitcoin, and they just continue to go down and down year after year. With ADA, it's different. I mean, we saw this sharp drop here in 2019. So you can see here, starting in let me move myself. So starting in April of 2019, we saw a sharp drop. This was when Bitcoin was going up, because at that time Bitcoin was very undervalued. And this is when the valuation of ADA with respect to Bitcoin started to fall. However, since that time, we've essentially been in an accumulation phase, because since the bottom, we basically were just moving sideways for almost a year. With respect to Bitcoin, this is one of the reasons why I talk about this coin on the channel. Is it's we can look at it and say, okay, it's at least maintaining its ground. It's not continuing to lose valuation month after month. And the fact that we saw ADA go to over $1 in 2017 and 2018 was incredible. I mean, at that time there was nothing even developed, so it was just pure speculation in a sense. Now that we're actually, we're getting to the point where things are moving along. The testnet has been rolled out, and it's going pretty well. The mainnet is going to be out within the next 1 to 2 months, more than likely. But again, don't get too attached to any timeline. And so for me, it just seems like this is a coin that I cannot risk not having in my portfolio during this market cycle. And believe me, I mean, I've accumulated plenty of it, between 2 and 4 cents, 5 cents. And like I said before, once we hit 10 cents, I'll likely be done accumulating Cardano. Not because I don't think it can't go to, say, 20 cents, 30 cents, 40 cents, $1, maybe within a couple years. It's not that. It's just that when we had so long to accumulate it at such low risk levels, I don't want to, my risk tolerance to continue to purchase it over 10 cents, it's just not there. And I do like to have a diversified portfolio. I'm not like all in on Cardano by any means. But again, it is one of the coins I talk about extensively on the channel. So what do we expect? Well, as long as Bitcoin either stays where it is at 9,500 or it continues to move up, then I would anticipate this move to likely continue. Clearly we could always see a short-term correction. I mean, there was a week over here where we had a weekly red candle. But regardless, I think that this general trend will likely continue as long as Bitcoin remains bullish. And I could even see this trend continuing, until Shelley launches, until it actually launches. And then maybe at that point, you might see, in anticipation of that, maybe you'll see a sell-off or something. But in the meantime, it's easy to think, it's easy to imagine that this continuation will just keep moving up. And again, with respect to Bitcoin, I mean, this type of move right here is what we want to see, because in the last, say, since April 20th, its valuation with respect to Bitcoin has gone up by approximately 80%, which is just incredible. So remember, if you follow the channel, we talk about the 20-week. Why do we talk about the 20-week? Well, it's because it is our support line in bull markets. You can see it is our support line in bull markets. And when we've looked at a lot of coins and we've shown what they do when Bitcoin is above the 20-week, and they tend to outperform. They tend to perform much better than when Bitcoin is below the 20-week. Even if Bitcoin is moving up, if it's below the 20-week, altcoins still tend to underperform. So this is why we've been following it, and why we will continue to follow it. So what you need to be on the lookout for is if you see Bitcoin dropping back to 8,800 and then maybe going south to 8,200 to the 20-week, then a drop below the 20-week would be most likely bad for altcoins in the short term. And this is why I say I typically consolidate out of altcoins in the short term if you see Bitcoin dropping below the 20-week. If you don't see that, if you just see Bitcoin continue to move up, then for Cardano, I think it's just going to be business as usual. Like we've been covering it since, it was a couple cents. So remember to stay resolute, stay diligent. Don't get too upset if you see, a short-term move to the downside. This stuff happens. We saw it, yesterday with Bitcoin when it dropped from, 10.1 down to like 9,500 within like a couple minutes. It even dropped all the way down to like 9,200, I think, within a couple minutes, and then bounced back up. These things are par for the course within cryptocurrency. Do not let them scare you away from the markets. If you're, say, a retail investor, it's just something you basically are going to have to live with, and you got to get used to it, because after it happens to you, say 10 times, you kind of become battle hardened to it, and you no longer really think about it anymore. But just stay focused on the longer term picture, and don't get too attached to what happens in the short term. If you guys like this content and you want to see more of it, please remember to subscribe to the channel, turn your notifications on. Please share the video too. I would love to have more people subscribing to the channel, so you can continue to grow the content, grow the people that are tuning into this kind of information in the cryptocurrency markets. And if you want access to the premium list, we have a weekly report, a weekly premium video, and a Google Sheets dashboard with live risk levels for Bitcoin, Ethereum, Cardano, and a few others that we're putting on there. So go ahead and check that out at intothe.cryptoverse.com. We even have a way that you can put in your projected top for Bitcoin, and then identify various selling strategies, and then you can pick the one that's right for you. So I think there's a lot of value in it, and I would appreciate it if you check it out. If you want a discount, you can pay with cryptocurrency and get like a 5 to 10% discount. So I'd love to have you join, and I'll see you guys there. With that said, I think this will wrap it up for this video. We'll follow ADA, we'll follow Cardano throughout this market cycle, through the release of Shelley, through the next phases later on to smart contracts, and seeing these other projects hopefully build on top of the tech stack. So we're gonna follow Cardano. Subscribe to the channel if you want to follow along, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.